All right, you guys, so I pretty much got this passenger side drip rail wrapped up. I got to do just a little bit of finish sanding. Probably hit it with some 220 grit, maybe DA it. Not sure yet, but it looks pretty damn good. While I was grinding the edge, I noticed some Bondo show through, and this is the result of it. Some bad roof patch work. It looks like the previous owner of the car welded the seam right here and then just filled it all in, and unfortunately did the same at the bottom, and that's just not going to work. So we'll end up making a patch panel that goes in here and gets nice and clean and fix this bottom area up. I went ahead and started grinding on the actual window frame, because if you look like right in here, you can see the spot welds kind of protruded. He didn't get them ground all the way down. There's a couple of little spots that have some holes where they didn't get filled completely. So I just ground them flush. I'm gonna go back, I'll weld that up, I'll grind that down a little more. I was using a 3-inch and I couldn't really get up in the corner, but went across the front as well. I evened out the inner roof with the outer roof. Since this is getting a flush mount window, we don't want anything sticking up like that. Along with here, I'm gonna fix all that up. I'll probably just hammer and dolly that till it's nice and flat. And then let's see what else. I started on the passenger side or the driver's side. I went ahead and did the same thing. Here's a good example. It's high and it's missing some weld. This one's high. So you pretty much got a lot of what's going on the top of the drip rail or the top of the window frame smoothed out, nice and good. Got to do a little bit here. Again, same thing. I noticed the A-pillar isn't quite lined up. Same with up here. So I went ahead and ground all that out. Try not to get surprised after I cut the drip rail off that this isn't fitting up very well. So I just went ahead and got it all cleaned out first and foremost. So now I'm gonna go ahead and cut the drip rail off. As you can see, I've got it sanded down in the area that I'm gonna pretty much make it go bye-bye. So I'll go ahead and get that cut off, and then I can start welding that back up. And then I figure I'll mess around with the window frame a little bit more, get it all cleaned up, and kind of just working front to back. And after I do that, then we'll have a couple little things to do. I'm gonna work on the filler for the gas door, and then I'll go ahead and start getting the bumpers all handled. I think that's gonna be my next task. And then we'll figure out from there how we're gonna do the Kindig door handles and what we're gonna do for door locks. I want this car to be able to lock, so that's something that we need to figure out in the beginning stages, so that way we're not surprised if something doesn't fit down the road. So I'm gonna put you guys on time lapse, get this drip rail cut off, and then I'll be back to you guys. All right, guys, so I've got the drip rail cut off, and I want to first start off by saying this is not a DIY video, and I'm going to show you guys exactly why. If you're not familiar with the drip rails, there are multiple pieces that combine into one in this area, you know, on all the way back. So if you're not prepared to deal with what happens when you cut them off and separate all the material, you're definitely in for a rude awakening. Perfect case in point, you know, and it kind of depends on who's built it, or, you know, what kind of vehicle you got going on here. But here's a perfect example. When they replaced the body on this car, all the different patches and whatnot, this has a rail on it, a flange on it, so that way it can be welded to the inner part of the drip rail. Well, what happened here was this guy cut it that owned the car previously, and now you can see There's a lot of movement in this. So basically what I'm going to have to do is get this set clamped in here to the flatness that I want it. And I'm gonna have to weld this whole seam before I can even start metal finishing it, prepping it for the deleted drip rail, because I need this secure. I can't have this sticking out like that. Along with those kinds of little issues, another issue is what happens when they do separate. You know, all the way back here, you can see all of this all the way down. And in the previous video, the time lapse, you can see I'm hammering it. And basically what I'm doing is I'm hammering this top lip, the roof lip, the flange you could say. I'm hammering that down so that it matches the shape of the other side. Because what happened was this guy had the drip rail kind of facing a little bit upwards. And so this top flange was very, very high. Granted, if you look from the top, most of this will be gone. There's probably a 1/16 of an inch that actually stays for the drip rail. So, but I need to get the fitment tight before I even start grinding and cutting away, because if I don't, then I can just chase my tail basically, with holes and the roof not being level. So I want the roof to be as flat as possible before I go in here and weld and grind. So that's kind of what I'm working on now. I'm gonna go ahead and get this a little bit tighter, and then I'm gonna start cutting back away more material and then get this patched up right here, because this is a big issue. This is just kind of free floating in the car, and that is not good. So I'll get all that stuff knocked out, and then I can start welding and grinding and doing the actual fun part. So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up on that. For anybody thinking that they can just cut their drip rail off their car and they'll be good. It takes an experienced metal finisher and metal fabricator to be able to knock these out correctly. Case in point, this is what it looks like after it's been fixed. You know, I got a couple little things I got to do in here obviously, but that is what the drip rail looks like when it's completely done. Welcome back to the channel, guys. We're still back here on the Nova project. Today, basically what I'll run you around. Let me run you around the car. So I've got the patch done for back here. I've got this drip rail done. I need to fix these areas, which I'm gonna probably cut them out and then reform. And then I've just put some tacks where whoever did the repair here just had a little bit of porosity and whatnot, so I ground it out, re-welded it. But right now, you know, here's an idea of what I'm talking about. It's, you know, here, down here, just doesn't look that great. So we're doing flush mount windows, so I want it to be perfect. Right now, what I'm about to do is I've already prepped the trim holes. There's a piece of trim right in here on the 66. We're gonna go ahead and get rid of these holes. So I prepped the area around because it's got EDP coating. And what I'll do is I'll basically just use this aluminum block that I have here. I use it as like a beading stick pretty much. And I'll just stick it in through here and then flush it up, and I'll just make these holes right up. And then that'll give it a flat surface on the back, so you won't see that, as well as fill the holes from the outside. And then I'll go ahead and blend them out from this front side. So I'm gonna put you guys on time lapse, get started, and we'll be back to you guys here shortly.